Alright, AP US History Geeks, today we're going to do an introduction to progressivism, or as I like to say, humans versus stacks on stacks on stacks on stacks on stacks. Because as you know, here we are in the progressive era, which we're going to loosely define as as the time period between the Civil War, and I'm going to end it in 1920. Now, as I do this and with everything else in US history, this is an overview. This is not black and white. This is very gray. I'm going to make a lot of generalizations. There's exceptions to all of the rules, and this is not gospel. I'm just giving you an overview of progressivism. So hold on to your hats and let's go ahead and get started on this. So once again, progressivism. Oh, before we go any further, let me talk to you about our learning target. What we're going to be working on here is explaining the origin and accomplishments of the progressive movement. That's what we're going to work on in class. I'm going to give you the background knowledge now so that when you come to school on Monday, you are already armed with this information. So let's go ahead and get started on this. So what we're going to do here, we're going to go over the basics of progressivism. We're going to look at some visuals of progressivism. We're going to look at their goals, and we're going to look at a typical profile of who a progressive is. And I'm also going to give you some media ideas for you to look at if you want to go a little deeper into this subject before Monday. Okay, so let's talk about some basics here with the progressive. To use the term progressivism, obviously the root word here is progress. These are people who viewed the excess of the Gilded Age, that viewed the excess of laissez-faire economics, and saw its impact on regular people, working class people, and some middle class people. But for the most part, people who label themselves as progressives and work for progressive causes, they're all going to be white, middle, or upper class educated people. For the most part, obviously, it's gray, there's exceptions to the rule, but for the most part, that's who they're going to be. So the progressive movement is a reaction to the unbelievable wealth of the Gilded Age and the stacks on stacks on stacks on stacks being made by the rich industrialists, and of course the lack of trickle-down economics to the poor people of the time. We're also going to I want you to know that progressivism is a large umbrella. To label yourself as a progressive does not mean that you have to belong or believe in every single tenet that I'm going to go over in a few moments. It's a catch-all thing. It's like saying Democrat or Republican. A Democrat in Kentucky is going to look a lot different from a Democrat in California, and a Republican in California is going to look a lot different from a Republican in Kentucky. So once again, this is a broad umbrella of a movement here. I did put on here middle and upper class white people unite. This is a movement born out of middle and upper class white people becoming educated just as the same group of people were educated by reading Uncle Tom's Cabin and seeing slavery in a new light. So are these people through a lot of different means, but they're going to get a new view of how the other half lives, how the other classes live, how the immigrants live, how the children live who are working in these factories, all the things that you know about. The people living at this time, these white, middle, and upper class people, don't necessarily know or see. But because of progressivism, once it is seen, they want to do something about it. I love this picture for a lot of reasons. One, it sort of symbolizes the out-of-control nature of the second industrial revolution. So what we have here, obviously, is a train that has gone through a building. This is a train station. Otherwise, why would a train be in a building? And this train, for whatever reason, has gone through the building and down to the street below. And of course, I could wax a long time talking about this visual here, but of course you got the train, the steel, Bessemer process, the building up of industrialization, and the new age that was taking place at the time, and it has some harmful effects. It does not come crashing down, the world ends, but there is a downside to the second industrial revolution. There is a downside to laissez-faire economics. There is a downside to child labor. This is not and it's why Mark Twain calls it the Gilded Age. It's golden on the outside, but you scratch it off, and down below that gold, it's lead. It's just junk metal. It's nothing. They're still poor underneath. Except, of course, if you're one of those people making stacks on stacks on stacks on stacks, as an industrialist or as a middle manager, life's pretty good for you, actually. So this is a political cartoon that sort of shows progressivism. We've got the white hand, and you can tell that the hand here with its nice white shirt and cufflinks and jacket, pushing down on a branch of an orange tree so that a child hand, I'm going to guess is a child's hand, it could be an adult's hand, below can get the fruit of the tree. The tree is on the other side of the fence from the person wanting the fruit, and the hand from above is pushing the branch down so that the person on the other side of the fence can get it. So if we look at the tree as a symbol of the wealth and prosperity of the Gilded Age, we look at the hand. If you look down at the wrist of the hand, excuse me, you can tell that the shirt is a little battered. It's old. Okay, sorry, I had to take a quick little break there. So we see the cuff of the sleeve is ragged, it's torn, symbolizing, of course, the poor nature of the person reaching for the fruit. And of course, this great benevolent hand from above, with Teddy Roosevelt on the cufflinks. And as we're going to get to, Teddy Roosevelt, I'm not going to label him. I mean, you could label him a progressive president. There is a progressive political party. It doesn't reach national prominence or acclaim for very long. Teddy Roosevelt officially runs as a Republican, but a lot of the things he does as president, they can be labeled progressive. But we'll get to that, and we'll get to that later. But anyway, so we see the cufflink with Teddy Roosevelt's face on it, this benevolent hand from above reaching down. Oh, Leo, I'll help you get the fruit. And the poor hand, of course, getting the orange. And so there you go. I'm going to stop talking about this image because you're probably bored now and probably making fun of me for it. Okay, so let's start talking about some of the goals of the progressives. First, this is one that I love the most. Moral improvement. They look around and they see American society, the drinking, the prostitution, these new things called movies coming out. Thank you, Thomas Edison. The dancing. All these things are terrible to the progressives. It's eating away at the fiber of American morals and Christianity. And, okay, so I'll give them the drinking and the prostitution. But the movies and the dancing? Come on now. And of course, the last hurrah of the progressives is going to be the drinking issue. They are going to be the leaders of the prohibition movement, which really will be one of the last hurrahs of the progressive movement. Some people will make the case that the New Deal under FDR is a progressive movement. I'll let you be the judge of that later. Okay, next up, political reform. We talked about the political machines of the time, Tammany Hall, and how the politicians paying for votes, blah, blah, blah. We've talked about this. They want to do a lot of political reform, get rid of the corruption, get rid of the paying for jobs, and that whole system. Moving forward here kind of quickly. Okay, child labor. Man, killjoy. They are against child labor. Shocking. They see this as a bad thing. I don't know, little 7-year-olds getting their fingers and toes cut off, doing working 12 hours in the factory. Yeah, they're against this, which is going to lead us to another thing that they're going to want. Education. Public education. Be thankful. Otherwise, you'd be in the factory losing your fingers and toes and not learning how to read and write and all that other fun stuff that you just love doing all the time. So, with education, they view that a good public education system is going to be the key to improving American society and bringing people, especially the working poor, bringing them up and giving them an opportunity to become middle class. Next up, consumer protection. This is the next thing. By the way, if you're not writing this down, you really should. I'm going to pause here so you can go get a pen and pencil. Okay, consumer protection. From a lot of the readings you all have done about the Gilded Age, you know that there was no consumer protection, buyer beware. We've read Part of the Jungle, what went into the meat. There is no FDA, the Federal Drug Administration, that checks this stuff out. You could slap a sticker on anything and sell it and call it medicine, and there's nothing and nobody to tell you you can't do that. Probably a bad thing for Americans, and it was. Next up, environmentalism. Enter tree huggers onto the American political scene. Okay, so the Gilded Age in the Second Industrial Revolution, it played havoc on the American environment. Whole forests gone, mountains removed, mines everywhere. People before this time did not, if you just looked at the environment and looked at this big continent we lived on and just said, this could go on and on and on. There's no shortage of trees. We've got tons of trees. Okay, true, but it takes a long time for trees to grow back. And people are looking around and they're seeing the environment disappear. They're seeing things go away. They're seeing forests disappear. This is alarming some people, and it's going to alarm Teddy Roosevelt. Next up, antitrust. They are antitrust people. They do not believe in the monopolies. They will pass the 1890 Sherman Antitrust Act, which will end monopolies. Great political victory for the progressives. Next. Oh, yeah, I just said that. Social work. They are big on social work. And one of the best examples of this is something called Whole House in Chicago. We'll get to this more on Monday so you can see what it is. But they're big on social work, social improvement. I'm going faster because I only have 4 minutes left on this. And I'm sure you're already getting bored with me anyway. So social work as well. And we'll get the Whole House. You know what? Look Whole House up on your own. Jane Addams. Look it up. Talk to me about it on Monday. Women's suffrage. That's another big thing they have. They are firm believers that women should have the right to vote. That will come to head with the 19th Amendment. Okay, movies to watch. If you want to, and if you're bored between now and Monday, which given the weather outside, you just might well be, here's some movies for you to watch. The first one is The Road to Wellville. This one's funny. There's a few of you out there who I really think would love this movie. I looked on Netflix. It's not there. I didn't see it on Hulu Plus. It might be on iTunes. I didn't check. Look it up. Iron-Jawed Angel. Oh, back to The Road to Wellville. You just have to see it to understand it. Iron-Jawed Angels. It's a great movie about women's suffrage and what the women went through. It was made a few years ago. Hilary Swank is in it and some other people. Also, a lot of famous people in Road to Wellville as well. Next, regretfully, I'm saying Titanic. I hate this movie. I watched it in high school. It's terrible. But you can watch it to get the classism of the time between the upper, middle, and lower classes. Showed very well on that movie Titanic. Next, Downton Abbey. For the Anglophile, Megan, I'm talking to you. How you haven't watched this yet is beyond me. But Downton Abbey will also give you an idea of the time of the classism. And there's some hints of progressivism in the first season with some of the ideas, but you're going to have to pay really close attention to get it. If you haven't watched this yet anyway, you really should. It's good. And that's also because I'm the biggest Anglophile around. Okay, also, I'm going to go ahead and sign off on this. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at @SPollitt, USHist. Please follow me on that. Extra credit questions come on there. Interesting things I come across in U.S. history, all that other